Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to admit, the moment I heard that Valentin Cassadine had gone completely silent after heading to Geneva, my first thought was that something had gone terribly wrong. In Port Charles, people disappear all the time, but Valentin is not the kind of man who simply vanishes without leaving a trail. He is cautious, intelligent, and always seems to have 3 backup plans for every situation. That is exactly why his sudden lack of communication feels so unsettling to me. The more I think about it, the more I find myself asking the same question everyone else is asking. Where is Valentin? And did Jack Brennan somehow lead him straight into a trap? What makes this mystery even more fascinating is everything that happened before Valentin left town. For months, he managed to stay hidden right under everyone's nose. Just thinking about the fact that he was secretly living in Carly's attic for so long still amazes me. Around here in America, we have a saying, the longer a secret stays hidden, the bigger the explosion when it comes out. That certainly proved true in this case. When the truth finally came to light during that chaotic confrontation at Drew's house, it felt like years of secrets were crashing down all at once. I still can't get over how quickly that situation spiraled out of control. Nina found herself caught in the middle of a dangerous showdown between 2 determined men, and before anyone knew it, Jack Brennan was lying there after being injected with Drew's paralytic drug. It was one of those moments that reminded me why General Hospital remains so addictive after all these years. Just when you think a situation cannot get any messier, someone opens another door and reveals an even bigger problem waiting on the other side. What stood out to me most, however, was not the attack itself, it was what happened afterward. Once Jack regained the ability to communicate, he sent Valentin a message consisting of only 2 words, ex machina. Now, that may not sound like much on the surface, but anyone paying attention could tell that message carried enormous weight. It was a coded signal that Valentin would immediately understand. It represented the last available option, the final move on the chessboard. It meant that Valentin needed to travel to Geneva and meet the mysterious WSB leader known only as Z. That is where my suspicions begin. Jack may have appeared to be helping, but I cannot shake the feeling that he knew exactly what he was doing when he delivered that message. Think about it for a moment. Jack has spent months hunting Valentin. He has manipulated situations, pressured people around him, and exhausted nearly every resource available to him. Are we really supposed to believe that he suddenly became Valentin's ally? I am not convinced. In fact, I think there is a very real possibility that Jack saw an opportunity to use Valentin's desperation against him. Valentin was running out of options. He needed help. He needed access to powerful allies inside the WSB. Most importantly, he needed a way to stop the growing threat posed by Jen Sidwell and Ross Cullum. If Jack understood that, then he also understood that Valentin would never ignore a message directing him towards Z. It was practically guaranteed that Valentin would follow the lead. The deeper I look at this storyline, the more dangerous it becomes. Valentin was not traveling to Geneva for a simple meeting. He was stepping into the middle of a mission that could have enormous consequences. His goal was to expose Ross Cullum as a double agent working alongside Sidwell. If the allegations are true, then Cullum's involvement reaches into a deadly operation connected to one of the most notorious villains General Hospital has ever known, Cesar Faison. Just hearing Faison's name sends a chill down my spine. Over the years, his schemes have left devastation everywhere they touched. Now we are hearing about a potentially catastrophic cold fusion weapon connected to his legacy, a weapon powerful enough to threaten countless lives. Suddenly, Valentin's mission is no longer about clearing his name or avoiding capture. The stakes have become far bigger than any one character. What fascinates me is that Valentin was willing to risk everything despite knowing the danger. He understood that meeting Z could result in being turned over to Steinmauer. He knew he could be arrested, betrayed, or even eliminated. Yet he went anyway. That tells me he believed stopping Sidwell and Cullum was worth the risk. Whether you love Valentin or hate him, it is hard not to respect that level of determination. Then there is the matter of Liesel Obrecht. Just when Valentin appeared ready to take matters into his own hands and destroy the cold fusion weapon himself, the situation became even more complicated with Liesel's kidnapping. Suddenly, there was another life hanging in the balance. Another obstacle. Another reason for enemies to manipulate the situation. Whenever General Hospital starts stacking problems on top of each other like this, I usually take it as a sign that a major twist is coming. That is why I keep returning to the same troubling possibility. What if Valentin never actually reached the meeting he was supposed to attend? What if someone intercepted him before he got there? What if Jack's message was not a lifeline, but a carefully crafted lure designed to place Valentin exactly where someone wanted him to be? The timing feels too suspicious for me to ignore. Maybe Valentin is being held somewhere against his will. Maybe he uncovered information so explosive that powerful people decided he could not be allowed to leave Geneva. Or maybe the person everyone should be watching is Jack Brennan himself. After all, when someone spends months chasing a target and suddenly that target disappears after following their instructions, it is hard not to raise an eyebrow. For now, all we can do is wait for answers. But if there is one thing I have learned from decades of watching General Hospital, it is that silence is rarely accidental. When a character like Valentin disappears without a trace, it usually means a storm is gathering just beyond the horizon. And something tells me that when the truth finally comes out, it is going to be far more shocking than anyone in Port Charles expects. The more I think about Valentin's disappearance, the more troubling it becomes. What really stands out to me is that nobody seems to know anything, not where he is, who he met, or even whether he successfully reached Geneva. In a storyline filled with spies, secret agents, encrypted messages, and hidden agendas, complete silence is often more alarming than bad news. Usually, someone leaves a clue behind, a coded text, a burner phone call, a signal, something. But in this case, there is absolutely nothing. That absence of communication is what keeps raising red flags for me. As the old saying goes, no news isn't always good news. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words, and right now, Valentin's silence is deafening. Then there is Jack Brennan's role in all of this. Before Cullum stripped him of his authority and put his own plans into motion, Jack was running out of time. We know he was dealing with multiple crises at once, and officially there was no indication that he managed to contact Z after everything started falling apart. However, I cannot help wondering if he had already made contact before arriving at Nina's house on the day he was drugged. One possibility that I keep coming back to involves the secret WSB facility where Jason Morgan was reportedly taken. When I look at the pieces on the board, it seems entirely possible that Valentin ended up in a similar location. If Z truly received the information about Sidwell, Cullum, and the cold fusion weapon, then securing Valentin afterward might have been viewed as a necessary precaution. From a spy agency's perspective, Valentin is both a valuable asset and a dangerous liability. He possesses critical intelligence, but he also knows far too much. That combination rarely leads to freedom. It often leads to detention, interrogation, or protective custody hidden far from public view. What makes this theory particularly interesting is that Valentin has spent much of his life operating in the shadows. He has manipulated others, outsmarted enemies, and escaped situations that seemed impossible. Yet, even someone as resourceful as Valentin can find himself trapped when larger forces decide to close ranks around him. As I watch this storyline unfold, I cannot shake the feeling that General Hospital is building toward a major revelation. There are simply too many unanswered questions. Who exactly is Z? Did Valentin successfully complete his mission? Is he being protected, imprisoned, or hunted? And perhaps most importantly, who is truly pulling the strings behind the scenes? For now, all we can do is speculate, but one thing feels certain to me. Valentin's disappearance is not a random plot point. It is the center of a much larger mystery that has yet to be revealed. Until someone finally receives proof that Valentin is safe, I will remain suspicious of every player involved, especially those claiming to be on the side of justice. As always, I will be keeping a close eye on every twist and turn in Port Charles. If General Hospital has taught me anything over the years, it is that the truth always finds a way to surface eventually. The only question is how much damage will be done before it does.